everybody, welcome to my channel. I hope you're well. Today I am going to do a book related video, but first, couple of housekeeping items. Firstly, I don't know why I've got plaits. I think I thought it would be cute. I do look 7 years old. We'll have to live with it. Number two, we also will ignore my makeup and face. Sadly, hormones are rampant currently, if you get my drift, which means that my skin has decided to have a party, and by party I mean a lot of spots have shown up. Uninvited, but they are here. So apologies for face, apologies for hair. Third housekeeping item, and probably the most relevant, I've broken my foot. So I had been really hoping to do some vlogs. I really enjoyed doing my previous vlog, and then I was doing a workout at home. I did a step up, so nothing massively adventurous or daring or thrill. I mean, I literally stepped up 2 stairs and stepped down, but the stepping down didn't go massively well, and I have 2 broken bones in my foot. So at the moment vlogging is tricky because my life sort of consists of moving from one seated position to another seated position. It's sort of sit, hop, sit. I've got a cast, so woo, that was weird. Anyway, today I'm doing a book video. I did English literature at university. I just love reading so much. I had a look at my bookshelf and I've just picked out the 11 books that if someone said, Aisha, could you please recommend a book for me? I might say, of course, try one of these. Right, first up, this is probably, when people say, what's your favourite book? This one always springs to mind. Bar Harry Potter, which is, you know, obviously an incredible book series, but I'm assuming that most people have read Harry Potter. But these... what? Anyway, it is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. It's narrated by Death, which I think is really clever, and it's set in Nazi Germany, and it follows the story of a young girl and has a relationship with a Jewish, I think he's Jewish, a Jewish man. It's a small story about a girl, an accordionist, some fanatical Germans, a Jewish fist fighter, and quite a lot of thievery. Yes, I think it's a beautiful book. It's beautifully written, the characters are amazing, the plot's really clever. I love historically based novels. It's a book, every time it makes me cry, which I think is testament to a good book when you know what's coming and you still cry. I'm not actually a massive crier, but books are one of the things that get me when well done. Anyway, it is a genuine masterpiece. I love it, and I would recommend it to all. Hence why it's in this video. Next, Saturday by Ian McEwan. Now, if Chloe is watching this, she'll be disgusted because she is not an Ian McEwan fan. But actually, this novel sticks with me. I wrote about it in a 3rd year essay, and this is the book that, like, still it would just stick with me. Something would just show up and I'll go, oh my god, and it just reminds me of this novel. I guess the sort of post 9/11 novel, it responds to 9/11, but it's not about 9/11. It's about families, and it's about terror, and terror being terrorism, but also sort of terror much more domestically, much more insularly. Internally? We'll go with internally. It's about a surgeon, a brain surgeon, and it follows his life and his family life, and poetry is really interesting. My essay was about the power of literature as a healing force, because in this, literature literally does heal. You'll have to read it to find out how. It's just beautifully descriptive, clever writing. It's really great, and I would highly recommend this, which again is the whole video, so of course I'd recommend it. Next, All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. It's like a classic young adult. It's like a girl, boy, meet, fall in love, what's going to happen? But it's cleverly done, it's really beautifully written, the characters are really rich, it's really accessible. It's the kind of book that I think I read it literally in one sitting. It deals with some really interesting subjects. It's like a typical love story but with a twist, and it's beautiful. I really like it, so highly recommend. The Versions of Us by Laura Barnett. It's really cleverly done. So it's a couple's story, but there are 3 stories which happen simultaneously. So you read a chapter and then you read the next chapter of the same story, but it's a different story, if you see what I mean. I think it's something like it starts because they collide when one's riding a bike and one's walking. I think that's it. I can't quite remember, but I'm pretty sure a bike's involved. And I think in one they like get talking, in one they don't, and then in one they sort of do but then move on. And that's how it works. So in these 3 stories, it's what happens if you do X, if you do Y, which I find really interesting anyway, that whole idea of like parallel universes, and if you make a decision, what happens because you didn't make the other decision, and what if you had made the other. I find things like that really interesting, and I spend a lot of my time just thinking. But it's really cleverly done, it's really beautifully written. I think when a book makes you think about wider subjects, it's really good. So well done to Laura. Sure she's not watching, but well done Laura nonetheless. You did well, babe. Next book, Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. This is one of my favourite books ever, and I don't tend to recommend classics that often if people ask, just because I think A, that's the most cliched thing of all time ever, B, makes you sound like a wanker. But this is a classic which I adore. It's a dystopian novel. I love dystopian fiction. You'll see in a minute. This is really clever. It's about, in a very, very simplified nutshell, the sort of protagonist wants the chance to be unhappy. So sort of humans have been controlled to think they're in a sort of utopian society, but in taking away sort of, I guess, free will and the right to do as you please, is that happiness real, or is it only happy because there is an unhappy to compare it to? I don't know if I've done that at all justice. It's a very good novel. It's not a long novel. It's a really interesting read. Again, it makes you think about a lot of stuff. It's very good. I would recommend. Sticking on the theme of dystopian fiction, The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. This is an incredibly sort of effective dystopian novel, particularly for women. I think men and women should read it, but for women it is particularly terrifying. It discusses sort of the loss of women's rights, the loss of control over your reproductive system, reproductive rights, which is very apt given we are still in a society in which some places sort of believe women shouldn't have the right, you know, to decide they want children or whatever, which is nice of them. But I would, again, really recommend this, particularly for women in the current climate. Next, My Grandmother Sends Her Regards and Apologies by Fredrik Backman. This is my favourite of his books. I also love A Man Called Ove by him. I don't have my copy because it's at my boyfriend's house. He's been meaning to read it for ages and he still hasn't, and it does annoy me. But this, I think, is my favourite. Anyway, so it's good I've got this one. I'll read out the blurb. To most people, 7-year-old Elsa's granny is eccentric, if not crazy. To Elsa, she's a superhero, one with a superpower like no other. Storytelling. When Granny leaves Elsa a mysterious series of letters apologising to those she has wronged, her stories come to life in ways Elsa could never have imagined, sending her on a breathtaking adventure of her own. Which is great, but actually says nothing at all about the story. I started reading it and I sort of thought, oh, I don't think I'm going to like this. And then it just captured me and it made me cry. Fredrik Backman is absolutely one of my favourite authors. He just writes so competently and so well, and he's one of those writers that as a literature student and as someone who loves writing and reading, you read it and you just admire his talent. He's so good. He's such a good storyteller. Next. Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. I hope I got that right. This is amazing. This is the only non-fiction book in this selection. I actually love non-fiction books. I think they are possibly my favourite genre. This basically is about Homo sapiens, how we have come to be. It's so good. I remember just reading it and being like, oh my god, just mind blown constantly. It's so clever. It discusses things like religion, money, the fact that there used to be at least 6 human species on Earth and now there's only 1, which I didn't know. It's non-fiction, yes, but it's not difficult, it's accessible, it feels somewhat like fiction. It's just amazing. If you are interested in learning knowledge, learning about us, I think it's a must read. I could not recommend it enough. So, very good. William Golding, Lord of the Flies. This is an incredible book. It's another classic. I read it for GCSE and I just utterly fell in love with it. My teacher was amazing. Shout out to Mrs. Pierce. It's a really clever book. Again, dystopian. It's about schoolboys who are deserted on a desert island in a plane crash and have to sort of create their own society, and it's about sort of imposed, I guess, control on society, how we sort of repress our innate human instinct to be violent, to be destructive. It's very effective because of the age of the boys. They are boys, not men. I think it's a must read. Again, very easy, quick to read, not inaccessible in any way. It's very rich in symbolism. It's amazing. I love it. I really, really love it. So, very good. Next, All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I'm sorry, Anthony. It's another historic novel. I like a historic novel. It's about a young girl who is blind. I'll read out the blurb because I don't know how to explain it. For Marie-Laure, blind since the age of 6, the world is full of mazes. The miniature of a Paris neighbourhood made by her father to teach her the way home. The microscopic layers within the invaluable diamond that her father guards in the Museum of Natural History. Oh, it's about a diamond. I think they're looking for a diamond. It's beautifully written and it made me cry. And then finally, The Red Tent by Anita Diamond. I wrote my dissertation on this. This is one of 3 that I wrote my dissertation on. This is my final chapter. This is essentially, it gives Dina, who is literally a footnote in the Bible, but it gives her a whole story and explains like what happens in the Bible. It was a book, when I was reading it, sort of in preparation for my dissertation, there is a bit and it literally just like stabbed me in the chest, and then it was just this lump in my throat the whole book. It's about red tents, which are places that women go during their period to sort of be in this women's space and sort of celebrate womanhood. Those are the books. All 11 of them are superb. If you read any of those novels, comment down below, or if you have read any of them, comment down below with your thoughts. I love hearing other people's opinions of novels and like getting different readings and stuff. If you have any novel, book, non-fiction, any text recommendations for me, pop them down below. I'd love to hear them. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you would like to see more book related videos, again, a thumbs up, so then I know. Subscribe if you would like to, and if you haven't already, I'd be very, very grateful. And yeah, that is it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.